What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some interesting topics for you guys, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And we're starting off with a big announcement from Sony for the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut has been officially announced. It's launching on August 20th, 2021, and it comes with a host of new content and features for players out there. So you have a brand new island to explore with this expansion that comes with a new story, characters, environments, mini games, armor, and more. Of course, you can expect some new weapons and swords and magic to be able to do, and skill techniques. Plus, the PlayStation 5 version of the game has brand new Japanese lip syncing. So if you're into having that authentic feel of like a movie, then you can get that right here with that. There's also haptic feedback and adaptive trigger support for the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. Now, Sony wrote up a big post about this on the PlayStation blog. You guys can check that out if you want to see a bit more details on this. Pre-orders are available now. Now, here's the tricky thing when it comes down to this. This all sounds really good, right? But the controversy is surrounding how Sony is handling upgrades of a game that came out just about a year ago. So this is the problem, especially when you compare it to what Microsoft is doing with smart delivery. So Kotaku writes on this: the tricky part is how to buy this new version. If you already own Ghost of Tsushima on the PlayStation 4, you're able to purchase an upgrade to the Director's Cut for the PS4 for $20. If you own the PlayStation 4 version and want to upgrade to the PS5 version, it will cost $30. If you purchase the Director's Cut for the PlayStation 4 and decide later to upgrade to the PlayStation 5, you'll be able to do so for $10. Or if you don't own the game at all, you can just buy Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut for the full $70 on the PlayStation 5. If you're on the PlayStation 4, the full thing is $60. Console transition periods are wonderful, aren't they? So yeah, this is just a confusing mess when it comes to upgrading. So this is where the controversy kind of really comes into play. You've got a full $70 on PlayStation 5. You have a confusing type of upgrading system here, ranging anywhere between $20 to $30 to $10 if you just bought it, and if you got it on PS4 or the PS5, I mean, it's just a little bit of a mess. And there's a lot of players out there that are questioning this move from Sony. Now, I think that everybody knows that the content in the game is really good. Ghost of Tsushima is a fantastic game, and this Director's Cut is even going to be better. You're going to get higher fidelity on the PlayStation 5. You're going to get better frame rate on there. You're going to get some great gameplay and enhancements to it. I think I'm actually going to go back and play it now with this Director's Cut version because the gameplay is going to be smoother. I felt it was a little bit jank on the PlayStation 4 playing it at the time, and I think now it's going to be a lot smoother. And I've always felt that this is like the way better version of Assassin's Creed. I've always tried to like Assassin's Creed, and Assassin's Creed to me just isn't very good. But this game is definitely Assassin's Creed, but done a lot better. Just unfortunately, I don't love the Assassin's Creed formula, but I bought the game on the PlayStation 4 full price. So I think I'll upgrade to this Director's Cut, but I really understand where the controversy comes from. But I think that Sony kind of put themselves in a position to where they can't do what Microsoft does because they went with a new system, right? This is not just the PlayStation 4 UI, the PlayStation 4 and just bringing it over to PS5, right? That's what kind of Microsoft did. They made a stopgap in between with the Xbox One X, and then they made this next system, Xbox Series of systems, that uses the exact same operating system and everything. So it made the transition easier for them and easier to do stuff like smart delivery and quick resume and stuff like that, where Sony still has their work cut out with them offering features that were on the PlayStation 4 because it is a new system and there are bugs and there are stability issues and there is allocation. I mean, there's just so many things that goes into it. I'm not making excuses for them when it comes down to it, but that's just one of the things that you do when it comes to a company and what you want to do going forward. So maybe they should have kind of looked at maybe what the PlayStation 4 was doing and kind of built off that a little bit more. before, so you can have these upgrades a bit easier. But at the same time, like, heck, I don't know how to program and engineer and all this, so I know there's a lot more that goes into it, but I can understand the controversy. I can understand why people are upset. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't like it, then you can just like not buy it, or you can just enjoy the free update that they did on the PlayStation 5, which does give you 60 frames per second. So there is that, right? There is that. Or if you want to just buy the game for 70, you can do so. But I definitely understand some of the frustration from gamers out there. I'm not trying to go against that or anything, but you know, it's one of those things, like I said before, you know, just like don't buy it. Let them know and say, hey man, I'm not going to support this type of practice, and you can spend that money on something else. It's not like there isn't a bunch of other games to play, or you can wait for a price drop as well. There's also that option, because I don't think it'll stay 70 forever. It won't be as high price forever. There'll be times when retailers will drop the price as well. So we're seeing that with some of the games that came out a bit before, like for example, Returnal. That game got a price drop too, and some of the other $70 games that came out, and some of the third-party games are dropping in price as well when it comes to the next generation PS5, Xbox Series, and all that. So what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, now moving on to the next topic here. Nintendo has actually discussed, Nintendo's president, Shuntaro Furukawa, has discussed why the Switch Pro wasn't at E3. At a recent investors meeting, one of the investors actually asked Mr. Furukawa, like, what's going on here? Why wasn't the Switch Pro at E3? It was rumored to be there. It was reported by so many different places and all of that. So let's go ahead and get into what they had to say on the matter. So Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa fielded the question, unfortunately given a non-answer. Quote, our company uses Nintendo Direct to inform our customers about individual products at the appropriate time. He replied, stressing the company's commitment to Nintendo's unique ideas of play and making them possible with hardware and games. To achieve that, he continued, we are constantly developing hardware, software, dedicated peripherals, etc. But we refrain from making comments on specific products still in development. So he kind of confirms, kind of low-key, not exactly, but kind of low-key confirms like, hey, product's still in development. So there's something going on there, right? So that's kind of like indirectly confirming the Switch Pro, at least. Like that's kind of how I see it. If I'm reaching for the stars here, if I'm Stretch Armstrong in here, you guys can let me know in the chat. I know you guys will. But yeah, it's a very nice way of saying, yeah, no comment on this, man, you know, when it comes down to it. So there's been all sorts of theories and reasons why Nintendo didn't announce it at E3. And I've always stated this, like when it comes to E3 or when it comes to Nintendo doing this, I've always stated, I'm not so sure if they're going to announce Switch Pro at E3. I was thinking maybe it would be before, but E3 is just like this big, huge mashup of different companies announcing things, and you might get lost in the sauce if you announce a new hardware product there. Nintendo, I think ever since what happened with the Wii U and they announced it at E3 and people got confused, probably due to them and probably due to other journalists not doing a good enough job, and just it's like everybody's fault on that. Nintendo's like, man, we're never going to do that again. We're going to wait, we're going to curate our content, and we're going to make sure that we have a video that we re-edited and looked at multiple times before we announce anything new, because that screwed us with that product when it comes down to it, and we don't want that to happen again. I think that also was probably the reason why they decided to really go in with Nintendo Directs. They had a 3DS Direct before that, but I think that confusion was like, our customers are confused on things. We need to make sure that we get this information to them directly, so there is no confusion in terms of when it's coming out, in terms of what we've said, or whatever the case is. So it makes sense in that point that they didn't do it at E3, and I feel they're going to do it just like they did with the Nintendo Switch Lite back in 2019, where it's just some type of random day and they say, hey, here's this new video, and they talk about how we've had this system out on the market, people have been playing it, we're at this and that, and now we're adding a new member to the family, Nintendo Switch Pro or Nintendo Switch whatever, new Nintendo Switch or whatever they're gonna call it, right? So I think that's what's kind of going on there. But either way, it's cool to see that they're definitely working on something, it seems like here. And when it's ready to be announced, it's ready to be announced. I think at the end of the day, it's also like, hey, man, we'll announce it when we feel like it, not when you guys think it's going to be announced. We'll just announce it when we feel like it and when it's ready to be announced. So I would guess, if I had to give a guess myself, I would say probably August. I'm going to go ahead and go August. That's what I'm going to go ahead and pick. Maybe at the end of this month, maybe in August. I don't know, but I think it'll be within this month or next month, sometime then. If it doesn't get announced then the Nintendo Switch Pro isn't real. No, I'm joking on that one. I still think it's real, but who knows when it's actually going to come, right? We've talked about it multiple times. There's been rumors. There's been all sorts of stuff. So once again, you know, we just have to wait. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So we'll see what happens. But I'm still thinking that there is going to be a Switch Pro. I still think it's going to be announced this year. So we'll see what happens with that. So what are your thoughts on what Nintendo had to say here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. We've got a pretty big rumor when it comes to the Dead Space remake or revival that's in development from EA Motive. So Electronic Arts will announce a Dead Space revival during its EA Play live digital event on July 22nd, according to VentureBeat writer Jeff Grubb in the latest Games Beat Decades podcast. Shout out to my man Jeff Grubb, which was picked up by VGC. The revival is reportedly in development by Electronic Arts Motive Studio, which has also developed the October 2020 release Star Wars Squadrons. A Eurogamer story has also corroborated these claims, which tallies with information Eurogamer has heard, according to them. Now, Gamatsu has also separately heard that a Dead Space revival is in the works at Motive, which is said to be a reimagining rather than a sequel to the existing trilogy. Now, the Dead Space series first launched in October of 2008, it was a while ago, and has not seen a new entry since the release of Dead Space 3 in February 2013. All three titles in the main trilogy are available for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC. So I played the original Dead Space back in the day, and while people really loved it, I wasn't a huge fan of it. There was something about the game that made me just feel nauseous. Maybe it was the claustrophobic environment being so closed in. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but just something made me kind of claustrophobic and get a little bit sick with the game. I'm not sure if it was the frame rate combined with the resolution and just the compactness of the game. So a reimagining of the original Dead Space so we can kind of just like start anew, almost akin to like a Resident Evil 2 remake or Resident Evil remake, something like that, it seems like, is I think a good move. Also maybe even something like Final Fantasy VII remake, reimagining of it in terms of the event so they can kind of switch things around or kind of start new. I think that this is a good take for them, and I will be down to pick this up, of course, at some point. I don't think it'll be a day one for me, but definitely I'm interested in seeing more of the game. So this is good, and hopefully they do a Dead Space trilogy like remaster. I think that would be good too, but I'm not sure if they would now that they're doing this at this point, but who knows? We're gonna have to wait and see on that one. Maybe they have both of them for us to announce at the EA Play Live digital event at the end of the month. So what are your thoughts on all these different topics here, from Switch Pro to Ghost of Tsushima, controversy, and of course the Dead Space reimagining or remake that's rumored to be coming here? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you for the next one. Peace.